Somehow I had a phone call, but in any case, this is a New York, New Haven, and Hartford railroad line logo, and that is the correct tender for what engine you have. And you'll notice there's a hole back here. You'll have to talk to Doug. There is a little scooper that glues onto this, and it's used to push the coal down. It's a hydraulic piece, and this is for venting to keep the reverse cool. And these are little lanterns, and you glue in red crystal gemstones, tiny little gemstones, and then it looks like red light reflecting, so that's that. Everything else is molded, and this is plastic, and as you can see, all of the screws are in good shape. So that's the tender. This is one of the shells that I had. I had a complete 293 and I just sold it. But what you should have, one is this rear truck that bolts onto the chassis. The other thing is, this, as you can see, has those metal pieces missing that you talked about. But being metal, it has a very strong screw hole, so you shouldn't have a problem with that. This is another, that 293 is a little newer, but here you can see what the complete assembly looks like. And the problem that your father probably ran into was this thing bouncing around and jumping the track. And there's a couple of things that we do. We put a spring in here, and we also have a newer, heavier piece. So I'm going to see if I find any of those things, and I'll try to address that for you. But again, you see the screw holes are in good shape, and there's room back here for a tie bar, which is what the tender attaches to, and I'll show you how that works later. And I don't know if I can see the date stamp. It's on here, but I just can't see it. At any rate, other thing I wanted to point out was this is the steam whistle, and this is something else, pop-off valve or something like that. And those are pot metal, but you can wire brush them. If you have wire brush on a Dremel, you can polish those and bring them up. You can see them on the Atlantic as well. It's the same item. They're missing on this engine. This engine was stripped before I got it, so that's that approach. There's no railings that you have here, but sometimes people will add them in. It's a little tougher with metal. Oh, and you can see the two holes where that fiberboard would mount, where the four wires would come in. Right here is the fiberboard that would mount. So this is what the chassis will look like. There's a screw hole right there. That's where this rear truck would bolt to, and it's weight enough and big enough diameter, it should track. It should not jump the track for you. This is a plate that hides the grease pit, so you open that up and check the rear for grease. This is an old chassis, and it has the wrong center wheel. This center wheel is for a more complex K5, which is another engine. But I did have one here that's fairly complete. The wiring's complete, it's all intact, it's missing the headlight, it has a smoke, it's dirty. I can clean it up, I can change this wheel, I can put in here's one of my Atlantics, which has a busted up front wheel, you see. So I could use this wheel here on this wheel, exchange those hubs, or probably have some in my drawer. I have a drawer full of wheels. I could swap those out, but I just wanted you to see some other engines and chassis. There's a motor I have that I could put in an engine. There's a reverse unit. There's another pair of Atlantics. This is a Bear chassis. I hang this around because it has the gear for driving the smoke. You see how the smoke is driven by this gear off this rod and pushes in and out. You notice these two Atlantics do not have that, so these would have been 300s without smoke. But I have a new way I'm working on mounting smoke into those old ones, but I'll get to that later. And then this is just another example, but again, you see it has the 4 pins, it's clean, it's well wired up, and it has the gear for smoke. It just needs a rod and piston, which I have somewhere. I broke a piston yesterday, I was pissed off, but it's okay. Any rate, so I have the bits and pieces to get you a chassis. The other beauteous part is this is the 307 that you have, and this is the Reading tender that would be on it, and this is the truck and the chassis that would go with that. You can see it's all one piece, and I have the one over there is assembled, ready to go. But what I wanted to show you was the New York Central, the New York New Haven box fix-it. So I can take this piece and this piece, and I have one without the rivet. It's screwed, so I can unscrew this. I have to build a drawbar, and then I have to build a interface so this can hook up. But there is a way to make this unit work on this engine, and I'll put all that together, try to do that today, show it to you later. So that's what I'm up to. Cobbling, looking through my junk heap. There's a caboose that has a light and a knuckle coupler that could work for you. And over here I'll show you, this is the Atlantic that I had put together yesterday that was in pretty good shape. And here's another one that I had found, and it was working right before I left. There you go. Needs a little cleaning yet. Got some dirt in the contacts, I'm not sure where. But this one is all together, ready to go. Put the wheels on, all that stuff. But the other thing, oh, and then this was the smoke. And the smoke and the light worked. I tested it out last night. The other thing I was going to share with you was this. The rivet was broken, so I used a screw. All I need to do is take this screw off and tie this up to the back of the 290 chassis, and then there will be a bar. I usually make them out of Erector. They come down like this, and I cover them with black plastic, and then you'll have the rear truck bolted underneath. So we can put together what you need. And I have all kinds of these guys. See, this is the one I pulled out that has the spring. See that? I think if your pop had the spring in there, he would have been happier with that, because it rides down on the track better. It doesn't bounce around and jump. Anyway, that's where I am. I'm going to post this. I'm going to have to post this on YouTube and then send you the link, but I'm going to post it as private, I think. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's just where I'm at with what I've got, and you need to talk to me when you get home and tell me where we are with your engine. Okay, bye.